It's time now to meet the 2012 Republican presidential contenders. Joining us on stage first, the Texas Congressman Ron Paul. Now, let's have the candidates introduce themselves. We're going to ask them to keep it short, and here's an example. I'm John King from CNN. I'm rooting for the Patriots this weekend, and I'm honored to be your moderator this evening. Congressman Paul.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here tonight. I'm a congressman from Texas. I've been elected for 12 times, and also I practiced OBGYN for a 30-year period. I've also served 5 years in the military, and I'm the only U.S. veteran on this stage tonight.
As I noted at the beginning, we have 4 podiums on this stage tonight, not 5. And when he exited the race this morning, Governor Perry quickly and forcefully endorsed Speaker Gingrich. And in that remark, he said that, no, Mr. Gingrich is not a perfect man. Senator Santorum, he said none of us are. And he said he believes in his Christian faith. It guides him to the value of redemption. Speaker Gingrich doesn't believe this is an issue. Governor Perry says this is not an issue. I just want to start with you, sir, and go down. Do you believe it is? Congressman?
I think too often all of us are on the receiving ends of attacks from the media, and it's very disturbing because sometimes they're not based on facts, and we suffer the consequences. You know, sometimes it reminds me of this idea of getting corporations out of running campaigns, but what about the corporations that run the media? I mean, they're always in charge. And I think our responsibility, since sorting facts and fiction, the people have to sort this out. But I think setting standards are very important, and I'm very proud that my wife of 54 years is with me tonight.
All right, as I said at the top of the debate, as all of you know, and as everyone in this audience from South Carolina knows, we're in a state with 9.9% unemployment. And Jane asked this question: list 3 or more specific programs that will put American people back to work. Congressman Paul, I want to begin with you. Do you believe we need specific federal programs to put the American people back to work?
Well, most of the things the federal government could do to get us back to work is get out of the way. I'd like to name. I'd like to see the federal government have a sound currency. That creates a healthy economy. I would like to see massive reduction of regulations. I would like to see income tax reduced to near zero as possible. And that is what we have to do. We have to get the government out of the way. We have to recognize why we have unemployment. And it comes because we have a deeply flawed financial system that causes financial bubbles. The bubbles burst and you have the unemployment. Now, the most important thing to get over that hump that was created artificially by bad economic policies is to allow the correction to occur. You have to get rid of the excessive debt. You have to get rid of the malinvestment. And you don't do that by buying the debt off the people who were benefiting from it. So we, the people, shouldn't be stuck with these debts on these mortgage derivatives and all. We need to get that behind us, which means the government shouldn't be doing any bailout. So most of the things to improve the environment is getting the government out of the way and enforce contract laws and enforce bankruptcy laws.
Let's stay on the economy and let's stay on the South Carolina experience all you gentlemen have had. As you know, and as this audience reflects, this is a state incredibly proud of its military tradition and incredibly proud of its veterans. Many of those veterans who have served post 9/11, served honorably in Iraq and Afghanistan, are coming back to a terrible economy. Right now, unemployment rate for post 9/11 veterans aged 18 to 24 is at 22%. Congressman Paul, to you first, sir. Should the federal government be specifically targeting that part, or veterans coming back saying the unemployment rate is so high among that subgroup that the federal government should offer a tax incentive to employers or take other steps to help them, to incentivize the economy, to help them get jobs?
To some degree, but you really want to make the environment, the economy healthy for everybody and not designate special places. But to help them out to come back is probably necessary on some occasions now. But we have to think about how serious our problems are here, because we faced something much, much greater after World War II. We had 10 million came home all at once. But what did we do then? There were some of the liberals back then that said, oh, we have to have more work programs and do this and that. And they thought they would have to, do everything conceivable for those 10 million. They never got around to it because they came home so quickly. But you know what the government did? They cut the budget by 60%. They cut taxes by 30%. By that time, the debt had been liquidated, and everybody went back to work again. You didn't need any special programs. So but the one thing, talking about concern about the military and the veterans, I'm very proud that, I get twice as many donations from the active military people than all the rest put together. So I'm very concerned about them. I think where the real problem is we can create a healthy economic environment if we did the right things. But where the veterans really deserve help, both as a physician and as a congressman, is the people who come back and aren't doing well health-wise. They need a lot more help. We have an epidemic now of suicide of our military coming back. So they need a lot of medical help. And I think they come up shortchanged. They came up shortchanged after Vietnam War, Persian Gulf War, and even now. They don't get care from the Veterans Administration.
I think we all agree there's a generational challenge for the country with the brain injuries and the other injuries and the suicide, as you mentioned.
We need to have someone outside Washington go to Washington. If we want people who spent their life and their career, most of their career in Washington, we have 3 people on the stage who, well, I take that back. We got a doctor down here who spent most of his time in the surgical suite. Well, not surgery, the birthing suite. But I just, I think America has to make a choice.
John Marcoux from the great city of Charleston. Gentlemen, when will you release your tax return specifically?
An hour ago.
Mr. Speaker posted his online an hour ago. We know that. Congressman Paul, we'll come down the line. Congressman Paul, I want to start with you. We reached out to your campaign this week, and they said you would not release your tax returns. Why?
Well, I hadn't thought it through. I don't have an intention of doing it, but for a different reason. I'd probably be embarrassed to put my financial statement up against their income, and I don't want to be embarrassed because I don't have a greater income. Now, I mean, it may come to that, but right now I have no intention of doing that. I think with our financial statements, congressional financial statements, I think you know more about me than I know about myself. That's how my wife found out so much about what we were doing, from my financial statement. Now, I don't think people need that because nobody's challenging me because I have no conflict of interest and I don't even talk to lobbyists and I don't take that kind of money. So there's no conflict.
All right. Governor Romney, when will we see yours?
When my taxes are complete for this year, and I know that if I'm the nominee, the president's going to want to insist that I show what my income was this last year and so forth. When they're completed this year in April, I'll release my returns in April and probably for other years as well. And I know that's what's going to come. Every time the Democrats are out there trying their very best to try and attack people because they've been successful. And I have been successful. But let me tell you, the challenge in America is not people who have been successful. The challenge in America, and President Obama doesn't want to talk about this, is you got a president who's played 90 rounds of golf while there are 25 million Americans out of work. And you've got, and while the price of gasoline has doubled, he said no to the Keystone Pipeline. And while we've got $15 trillion of debt, he said, look, I'm going to put another $1 trillion of debt for Obamacare. That's the problem in America, not the attacks they make on people who've been successful.
But some of the questions about when you release your taxes have not come. The president has raised them. His campaign has raised them. You're right on that. But so have some of your rivals up here. Speaker Gingrich has said you owe them to the people of South Carolina before they vote. Governor Perry made that point as well before he left the race. Why not should the people of South Carolina, before this election, see last year's return?
Because I want to make sure that I beat President Obama. And every time we release things, drip by drip, the Democrats go out with another array of attacks. As has been done in the past, if I'm the nominee, I'll put these out at one time so we have one discussion of all of this. I obviously pay all full taxes. I'm honest in my dealings with people. People understand that. My taxes are carefully managed. And I pay a lot of taxes. I've been very successful, and when I have our taxes ready for this year, I'll release them.
Speaker Gingrich, is that good enough?
Look, he's got to decide, and the people of South Carolina have to decide. But if there's anything in there that is going to help us lose the election, we should know it before the nomination. And if there's nothing in there, why not release it? I mean, it's a very simple model. But he's got to decide. It's his decision, and everybody's got to run their own campaign based on what they think is a reasonable risk. I released mine this evening. We also released the little small charitable foundation we have, so people can see what we do and how we did it and what our values are.
Governor Romney, you mentioned the Democratic attacks. I want to ask you to go back in history a little bit. Back in 1967, your father set a groundbreaking, what was then a groundbreaking standard in American politics. He released his tax returns. He released them for not 1 year, but for 12 years. And when he did that, he said this: 1 year could be a fluke, perhaps done for show. When you release yours, will you follow your father's example?
Maybe. I don't know how many years I'll release. I'll take a look at what our documents are. And I'll release multiple years. I don't know how many years, but I'll be happy to do that.